GLAM, Los Angeles.
Hi, Kirby. Hi, Sara. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Okay, I am here by myself, sadly, today. Kirby is not with us, but we have an incredible guest that we have been waiting to have on for so long. From across the pond, as they say, we have British makeup artist, creative director, beauty innovator, and genius, Isamaya Ffrench on Los Angeles. Welcome.
Thank you.
So happy to have you
Thank
here.
you. Well, I thought I was coming to sunny Los Angeles, but actually it's a little bit misty outside.
It's June gloom. It's June gloom, which is a thing. But also, it's been really cold for like the whole year, so I'm not really sure what's happening. I hope you get a little bit of sun by the end of your trip.
Sunny energy.
Yes. So you just came back from the Business of Fashion event.
Yes.
How was that?
It was awesome. It's my second year. They've been running for 3 years. I was on a jury. So we were looking at these, new brands. And it's really fun for me because not only do I get to meet founders, which I love, because, working in makeup, I get to meet hairstylists, but I don't get to meet other brand founders, particularly in makeup.
Like your peers.
Yeah. And, and CEOs and CMOs. And actually the event's really interesting because it's really about the business.
Yeah.
So again, I have a business, but I'm very creative. So to sit there and go, oh, beauty in India looks like that, or like, oh, this is what's happening in the Middle East. It's a fascinating.
Yeah.
And Stanley Ranch is gorgeous, so
Totally.
it's a lovely experience.
Was it sunny up there at least?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any brands that you discovered when you were up there that got you
Oh
excited?
my God, how long have you got? Yeah.
Well, okay, like one or two that you got excited about.
So a couple of the winners.
Okay.
One of them is called Commune, and they're a kind of skincare brand. They do incredible hand moisturizer and wash and stuff, and they're based in Somerset in the UK. So Somerset is like the belly of England.
Okay.
It's really mystical and magical, and it's very kind of witchy, and their branding's beautiful, and it's kind of like they actually won the Social Impact Award because the whole bottle is aluminium, including the pump, so you can just chuck it in the recycling.
Oh, I love that.
Fragrance is beautiful, and I love it.
Okay.
So I was like, yes to the kind of witchy.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean witchy?
Have you seen The Wicker Man?
No.
It's a film from, I think, the 60s or 70s, and it's about a kind of weird, I think it's an island off the coast of the UK, and paganism and kind of old English ritual.
Yeah.
It really lives in that kind of world, and I love that.
Ooh, okay. I have to look that up. Okay, and then was there another brand?
There's a couple.
Yeah.
The brand that I awarded the best the creative award to was a brand called Manasi 7.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful Swedish brand. They do incredible color cosmetics. It's quite a kind of slow and gentle brand, which is very Swedish.
Yeah.
And the founder's lovely. Yeah, beautiful color cosmetics. The packaging's really minimal, and it was nice to discover that.
Yeah. How cool. Yeah. Okay, before we jump into your story and your incredible career, we know that everyone wants to know, what are 5 things that are always in your kit?
Okay. Well,
and I know we just put you on the spot, so
I have to include 2 of my own, if that's okay.
Of course.
Because that's why they were developed.
Yes. Yep.
I really can't go anywhere without this guy. It's a face glaze.
Okay.
So it's basically a clear gel product. I was going to put it on your lids.
I know.
And I'll reach across later.
Put it here.
So it's basically, there you go. I just love glossy lids. I really feel like it's a beautiful way to just elevate, and I feel like adding gloss to your face, whether it's your like cheekbones or your lids and your lips, does so much for like bringing youthfulness and life into your face. And I had never found a really beautiful gloss that was long lasting, so it lasts me all day.
Yeah.
And also, we put really deep hydrating ingredients. It has like a brown algae extract in it. So when I was developing the products, I wanted to put like potent actives in that do stuff while you wear it.
Yeah.
So if it's like the eye area, which is delicate skin,
Right.
and I wanted to be hydrating. So that's like, and I wear it at night.
Oh, okay.
Because all of this
it's
stuff.
like skincare.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And I love the texture. It's not sticky.
No, it's silky. It's just beautiful. It's like glowy, and That's my number one.
Ooh, I feel like this is very important for like editorial because I feel like people are
Totally.
trying to like get that look, for like these
Yeah.
magazine shoots,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it can be difficult to get. That's really
But
beautiful.
it's also very wearable every day.
Right.
People should
Ooh.
be wearing more gloss on their lids.
FYI, that's a takeaway.
Makeup by Mario palette.
Which one?
Well, good question. I have traditionally used the cool tone palette because
Okay.
I'm traditionally a cool tone girly, but now
Yeah.
they have red hair.
Yeah.
It's the warm tone palette for me.
Ooh.
But it's just so well curated.
Yeah.
Everybody I know has that palette.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it's always and will forever, I imagine, live in my makeup bag.
Okay. You were saying you're a big fan of Mario's.
I have such a crush on him. Yeah, he's awesome.
I cannot wait to see you two collaborate one day because I
It's
feel like
like-
it's just going to be
it's
like
like-
two beauty masterminds. Like,
No, it's so genuine. And I just, even like I watch his stories, I'm like, you're so lovely and cute and nice and I want to be your friend.
oh my
So-
gosh, he's just like such a genuine person
Yeah,
and so good
yeah.
at what he does. I'm such a
Yeah.
big fan of the eyeshadow palettes too.
Well, he is kind of like the modern day Kevin Aucoin, isn't he?
Totally.
You know, and I fell in love with Kevin Aucoin. That's how I got into makeup because I loved his book and I loved like everything about him.
Yeah.
And Mario definitely carries an air of that.
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the artistry.
yeah.
Okay, that's two.
That's two. Okay, you know what? I actually really like Victoria Beckham lip liners.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like them. Number 2 is the one I wear. It's
Okay.
kind of an orangey shade.
Okay.
And she's also a friend of mine. She's just released some really great brushes.
Yes.
Which I use too. And I think her packaging's beautiful. But I don't know, she just really nailed it with that number 2 lip
Okay.
liner. It's a kind of warm, spicy tone.
Okay. Would look good on everyone,
Well, I think so.
Okay.
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
but always in your kit.
In my personal
In
handbag.
your personal kit. Okay.
In my personal kit. Are we talking personal or are we talking makeup kit? Like
I was more speaking to like your kit.
my kit? Oh, right.
But-
I've just gone really.
No.
Oh, my personal
No, but I
preferences.
also love to hear your personal kit. So, I mean, if we want to keep going with that, we can do that.
Okay, I've got a hero, the Hourglass translucent powder.
Okay.
That is my kit staple.
Okay.
Yeah, amazing.
What about it?
It's incredibly light. The coverage is flawless. It goes a really long way in terms of skin tone. It's errs on the kind of banana-y color actually, but it's really pretty universal. I love it. But it's just such an effortless product, so I would go for that too.
Okay. Final product.
It's gonna have to be my color correcting serums.
Okay. I mean,
These
of
guys.
Of course.
And you should have a look at this one.
Yes.
actually.
Okay. So you have how many colors?
Well, we're developing more. So currently we have the lilac, the pistachio, the olive, mocha, rust, and caramel. So we have 6. You just give it a squeeze.
There you go.
And I thank you. I
Thank
created
you.
these because, I'm actually not a big foundation wearer.
Okay.
And thank
Oh
you.
my gosh, gorgeous.
And I celebrate skin. That's always been my thing.
Mhm.
And working, it was funny, because I've been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah.
So kind of pre-Instagram, TikTok era by a long way.
Yeah.
And, skin and makeup back then was about kind of really celebrating skin, and we kind of just began to cover ourselves up.
yeah.
And it's not true to me. So I wanted to create the color correcting serums basically to tackle all sorts of skin issues from rosacea to hyperpigmentation to acne to scarring to, have a very light, quite sheer touch approach to skin. And of course you can do your little bits of correction with your concealers, but it really helps to just make the skin look luminous. And I love the product.
Oh my gosh, it is just so gorgeous, and I feel like it sits on the skin so beautifully.
It's an awesome product. Yeah, I've got to give you that. 'cause,
Yes. So for this particular color, how would we find the right color?
Yeah,
for us?
good question. So I think the main thing is it's not a foundation.
Yeah.
And because it's color and complexion, I think people get confused. Like, why
Yeah.
is there only 6? And we
Yeah.
are developing more for different things. But it's about counteracting issues. So if you have, predominantly reddish, inflamed rosacea, acne, you go for the pistachio.
Okay.
That would help to balance that out. The lilac goes a really long way because it's just a brightening.
Right.
So it brightens dark circles, it brightens pigmentation and tones that you might kind of, I guess, just want to lift. So we could both wear it.
Okay.
I think you could also wear it in places if you're a medium skin tone. The olive is awesome. I think I can say this on here. The olive was developed with Bella Hadid in mind, because I've worked with her quite a lot. And whenever I work with her, she said one of the things she wanted to have was a serum that kind of just gave her beautiful sort of
like a filterish type of.
Well, if you're from that part of the world, you need sun.
Yeah.
You need that warmth and richness in your skin. And I think often those Indian or Middle Eastern complexions can often suffer from not enough sun, and they can be kind of dull. And I wanted to create something that would restore that richness.
Yeah.
So she put that in my mind years ago. I was like, we need to make something for this chick and for that skin type.
Yeah.
So the olive does that.
Got it. Okay. Just brings out
that beautiful
beauty.
warmth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
They all help to color correct and especially with pigmentation, they have a really soft reflective pearl that just helps to lift.
Yeah.
And then the deeper shades, caramel, rust, and mocha, just work for deeper skin tones that do have ashiness, need warmth, hyperpigmentation, and it's interesting because actually I sort of, I developed it with my team who all have much deeper skin tone primarily for that reason, because I wanted them to have something that could be just an easy product. A lot of girls who have a deeper skin tone say to me it's so annoying. There's just nothing for us that's sheer and easy.
Yeah.
And we start to color correct. And then we've got to color correct the color correction, and then suddenly we've got a full face.
Yeah, yeah.
And so this is for those girlies, that just wanted a real light touch bit of, great for beards too, by the way.
Okay.
The products that have cancelling out those kind of ashy tones. So if you've got a deeper skin tone and you have a beard that you want to kind of help conceal, it's really good too.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that it's like you said, it just sort of brings your skin to life. It's not sparkly or glittery.
I mix it into my sun cream or into my foundation.
Okay.
It's just.
Oh, I love that. That's a great idea.
Yeah. So now any sunscreen, and because they're all skincare infused, they blend so well with other skincare products. So.
Okay. So it sounds like you're super into skincare. Where did that, come from, that passion?
I mean, I love technology.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. So that sort of skincare is interesting in that way because so many things are, it's like wellness, longevity, biohacking, skincare. It's our biggest organ. It displays our DNA in a sense, and whatever's going on inside often is reflected on the outside.
Yeah.
So it's just it always fascinates me.
Yeah. And it goes hand in hand with the makeup.
Yeah. And I felt, the reason I developed makeup in this way for this line is because 15 years of working with thousands of faces, makeup can undo all the good work that we do with skincare.
Yeah.
We all became skincare gurus in lockdown, and then all of a sudden you kind of nail your skincare and you sort out your cystic acne and you get your hormone, and then you put a contour stick on and you get a breakout, or you put your foundation on and you get congestion and blocked pores.
Yes.
And the cycle comes back. So I was like, I have to make makeup that you can sleep in. It has to be that quality, and it has to really work in sort of tandem with all the good stuff we're already doing.
Yeah.
I was like, why hasn't anyone done this?
Yeah. But I feel like it's you're not marketing it as that, whereas some brands that's their whole big spiel. But it's anyone can use your products, makeup lovers, skincare lovers.
Oh,
and it's it'll still work for
of
their
course.
skin type.
I mean, predominantly, it's color cosmetics.
Yeah.
But I can't, I couldn't release any color cosmetics that weren't doing good things for your skin.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, we have to talk about how you got your start. And I read that you started face painting at kids' parties.
Did. I'm like,
tell me how that was. Because as someone who takes her kids to these kid parties, my favorite part about the party is the face painting, which I'm sure was a nightmare for you.
Look, I'll still take bookings. If it's you, you can book me.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I can still pull out a good Spider-Man every now and then. Well, I mean, when I went to university, I went to Central St. Martin's. I studied product design. I have a very artistic background, performance, fine arts. And I dropped out of Central St. Martin's because I just didn't feel conceptual enough for me. It didn't satisfy that artistic streak. And I needed to make some money. My parents were like, pulled the rug out. They're like, we're not paying for your Oyster card anymore, and we're definitely not paying for your rent. You've dropped out.
Right.
Sort yourself out. Goodbye. I mean, my mum was like, here's some
No, of
train
course.
money.
Of
My
course.
dad was like,
Yeah, totally. Typical mom and dad. Yep.
and then of course I had to pay it all back.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to get a bar job. I'd worked as a chef in the past. I'd done waitressing. I was a dental nurse at one point of my life.
Gosh, crazy.
And my sister asked me if I could go and do some kids face painting at her kids' school fete, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I just did it, and I was like, oh, it's actually quite fun. Yeah, I was like 20.
Yeah.
Or
So you
19.
had always
I was 19.
been like obviously creative and artistic. Did you know you were good at like painting and makeup?
Not well. I mean, I bought the Kevin Aucoin book when I was 7 years old.
Okay.
I walked. I went.
It's always
into
been in you.
I think, yeah, it has. I wasn't necessarily a makeup wearer, but I love faces. I love storytelling. I love theatre, film. The transformation process. So anyway, I was 19.
That's a fun
18,
19-year-old job.
Yeah, and I just got really good at it. And I joined an agency, and I took courses in body painting, and then I got interested in special effects, and it just kind of snowballed really. And long and short of it is, I was asked to do some body painting for ID magazine. And I turned up with my kit and my dirty brushes and my, there was just no, it was just still art.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I was working with clay, and I was covering the models in clay and painting them, and I remember looking over to the makeup artist, the real makeup artist. I was body painter, makeup artist on set. I remember brushing, like cleaning under my nails in the sink and washing my brushes, and it was all very messy. And I remember looking at her kit and being like, I could do that.
Yeah.
That looks really nice. And I literally went to Boots, which is your equivalent of
it's like Target,
basically. CVS-y kind of.
Yeah.
I bought a few foundations from Number 7.
Yep.
I brought a mascara and maybe a powder. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I just bought some basics.
Yeah. To build your kit.
And I was a makeup artist.
Yeah.
And then I just started getting bookings off the back of that. And I did a lot of men's first.
Okay.
Did a lot of men's shows and grooming and building up my kit really slowly. And it's so crazy to think back at, going to and make, Number 7 from Boots, almost 20 years ago. It was probably so bad. But I made it.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously had talent and skill.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so then you were at ID, then you said you were at Dazed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you helped build that beauty, like vertical.
Yeah, Dazed was such a passion project. It was a really important part of my life, actually. And it was kind of when I think what I realized was Instagram kind of democratized beauty in a sense. I think for many years, and I've heard Val Garland talk about this as well, beauty in an editorial space and in general was just dominated by probably 5 makeup artists, maybe 8, and they did everything because editorial was the only creative outlet that people could see. And I think Instagram came and sort of changed that. Yeah. And all of a sudden there were these phenomenal young talents out there, people who were, underrepresented from specific backgrounds, the LGBTQ plus community that just didn't have a space. Yeah. And I could see this and I was like, there has to be a space for these people. Yeah. So I set up Dazed Beauty. We launched a print magazine for the launch, and it's still a very legitimate beauty platform, particularly for a younger Gen Z audience, millennial audience. Basically to create a space and also to explore beauty in different mediums, through the lens of a game engine. Software engineer. What does beauty look like through that lens? Or what does beauty look like through the lens of a 3D designer or AI beauty? And it was a really important thing for me to create a space for people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so, so cool. So how long had you been working as a makeup artist before you really felt like a makeup artist?
I don't
like,
know that I still do.
Come on. One moment where you're like, okay, obviously, you were saying oh wow, I could be doing this as a job. But what moment did you feel like, okay, I see the vision. I know like my POV on beauty.
My career started out, I started as a very creative makeup artist. And when I look back now, I was at like 19, 20, very young. And my makeup was such a reflection of that naivety. It's only now that I can see that. You know, I brought my face painting to the pages of ID magazine. Like I was using children's Lego to make face sculptures in, London Fashion Week.
Yeah.
I was really young and playful, and I think there just hadn't been that expression for maybe ever in the beauty space, and kind of reappropriated what beauty could be somewhat.
Yeah.
So definitely I knew very quickly that, but I felt like an artist. I didn't really feel like a makeup artist. Yes. And then I think when I was hired for the Tom Ford brand to work on their Extreme collection and help kind of develop more interesting and exciting colours and textures, sort of legitimized things a bit for me maybe. And I was like, I can do makeup. Okay, Tom Ford says I can do makeup.
You're like, hey, Mom,
except for he kind of caveated it with, just so you know, anything you can do, I can do better.
Okay.
And I was like, yes, Queen.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can.
That's
and you're so welcome to as well.
That seems like such a Tom Ford thing to say. Oh my God. I'm sure you learned a lot from him.
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot from all the amazing founders and visionaries I've worked with. Yes, Tom Ford, Riccardo Tisci, like Ben Gorham. I worked for many years with the MAC team when James Gager was at MAC, and it's just been really awesome to work with so many different perspectives on beauty. And beauty is so vast and personal, and I've learned a huge amount. Yeah.
So as someone who, maybe didn't take the traditional path of like what a makeup artist is told to do, go to beauty school, this and that. What advice do you have to like up and coming makeup artists or people who want to get into beauty? Like obviously you figured it out and made your own path.
It's a difficult one because things are so different now, and
because of social media, because of the oversaturation of beauty.
Totally. I think it can be incredibly difficult for people to really find space to express. It's a sort of blessing and a curse, Instagram and social media in a way. I think aside from just, beauty, just focus on what you're passionate about, whatever that shape or form takes. Like, what do you enjoy doing? Beyond a kind of, if you want to get into beauty, do this. You just have to do what you love and things will manifest. And if you love it that much and you have that much determination because you're so willing to, it will happen. Yeah. I think, and I would say that about anything, accounting, engineering.
Whatever your passion is.
Follow your passion and be open-minded.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was your passion always to create your own brand? After working with, Tom Ford and MAC and all of these brands, were you like, I wanted to start my own brand because I feel like there's a white space of, what I want to do, or you're like, they're not doing what I think needs to exist?
A bit of both, I think. I started the brand in lockdown and it was great because then I had loads of time to think about what I wanted to do. I think working with different brands was enriching, but also limiting as a creative. And I got to a point where I was like, oh, there's just so much more that could be done, in terms of not just packaging, but how you communicate, how you do a campaign, how you talk about things. A big white space in so many different areas of the beauty conversation, even like, again, maybe underrepresented subcultures of beauty that want to exist. That's why kind of the industrial collection was so fun, because there's so many people like, I resonate with that. And I've never been able to resonate with a beauty brand. Yeah. And that was lovely.
Yeah.
So
okay, so you launch in 2022. And I remember when you launched, because it was, during the time, there was a lot of brands launching, obviously. But you really made a statement, especially with, obviously, the formulas were incredible. And I feel like people knew that coming from you. But the packaging really made a statement. Yeah. Tell us what the thought was. What was the strategy behind that?
Well, I think because I have this editorial background and I work in seasons with fashion. So, and that always changes. And I felt it was quite difficult to think about what my beauty brand would look like for like 10 years. I didn't want it to look the same. I wanted to do lots of different iterations of beauty expression.
Like an evolution.
Yeah, and also just like capsules.
Yes.
That was what was fun for me.
Okay, okay.
I wanted to launch.
Like fashion, like you said. Okay.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do that. There's a lot of work involved. It's very hard for the team to keep up because we're changing,
things all
direction.
the time. Sure.
But it's so much fun and so rewarding and so creative. So, I did that for a couple of years. We did the industrial collection, and that really stemmed from, I guess, a bit of a zeitgeist and an intuition. And funnily enough, when I launched it, it was literally at the same time as like Balenciaga and Kanye did the whole leather thing and leather masks. And then there was, it was just everyone was wearing leather and everyone was suddenly into BDSM and like new age goth movement. So I was like, cool, well, we're on track. And it felt like definitely the most extreme antithesis of what beauty I'd seen so far.
Yeah.
So it made sense to launch with industrial.
Yeah.
And then the Wild Star collection was just a total counter to that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what's the opposite of that?
Yeah.
Well, it's like a rodeo bar and like we did it across the road. We hosted a huge event at the,
Saddle
Saddle
Ranch.
Ranch.
Yeah.
I'm really good on a rodeo ball, by the way. I stayed on till the very end.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a flex.
I can officiate that. And then we did the lips collection, which it was the penis-shaped lipstick.
Yep.
Which, funnily enough, now I didn't know why I did it at the time. I just knew I had to. I was like, why has no one done this? It just got to do this thing.
It is such a collector's item.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize how heavy it is. It's
that
like a
too.
real object.
There is some weight to it.
Super. I mean, I wanted it to live on. I wanted it to have an afterlife.
Yeah.
But, when I look back now, during that time, there were so many conversations happening around the world about body. There was nudity on the TV. The White Lotus came out. There were these kind of abortion laws and conversations in the US, conversations around gender identity, trans rights movements were happening. It was a real moment where people were like, trying to claim their bodies back for themselves. And so it kind of just made sense. People were ready for it.
Yeah.
So
what was like maybe the most difficult part about creating a brand during that time for you? During the beginning, like when you, were really trying to make a statement, set yourself apart from other brands, what would you say was the most challenging part?
It's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. I don't know. It's just so much work.
Still is.
And it still is. It's a lot of work for me because I do everything.
Yes. I can imagine, you being such a creative person, but then like you were saying, being at this business of fashion, talking to other founders, they're coming from a very like business mindset. And so you have to be both.
Well, and it's only really in the last year that I feel like I've done a business degree in the last year, and I had to, I primarily, at the brand on the creative side, I do the packaging, I do the product.
I mean, you literally do everything.
Yeah, the campaign direction. I work really closely with a good friend of mine, Tiff, on the campaigns. I do work on the marketing strategy. I, look after the teams, digital, Instagram, retailers, have all the conversations with them. It's so much work. And I think this year, more than ever, I was like, I need to now really get into the bones of the business. I've done the creative piece, and now I need to treat it as it's becoming so much more than that now for me. So it's been such a mad journey.
Yeah. How big is the team?
It's quite small, really.
Okay.
We have about 10 people in the office in London.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Intimate.
Oh, yeah. And some have been there right from the very beginning. And I have such a wonderful team.
Yeah.
We also shoot so much in-house. So, all the still lifes that you see, all the texture videos, all of the majority of it, we just do in our office.
Wow.
And that's awesome. And I love that we can be so creative all the time. And I can go in and brief people and, work with them and build their careers too. We take on majority of the team are like junior creatives, which is great. So, it's lovely.
Do you feel like that is part of the reason the brand is so successful is because you are part of every team? You're, doing, like you said, the packaging, the formula, campaigns.
Well, that would be taking on that feel inflating if I said that. I think
just that you are, aware of everything happening in every part of the business. Whereas maybe some founders are like, I don't really know that, so I'm just going to let you take that.
Well, I think, first of all, I think people just appreciate the creativity. And I hope it stands out in that way.
Oh, definitely.
I think we're a very adaptable brand because I'm very happy to make mistakes and learn from them. You know, this is as much an exercise for me in just learning and getting things wrong or right. And I want to build, you know, what I want to do this year is actually build an even deeper connection to my audience and be able to share even more and share the creative process and ask them for their opinions and really invite them into product development. And I hope there feels like a genuineness.
Yeah.
And I really encourage people to also just buy directly from founder-led brands, because the majority of the time, especially like a creative, you know, your makeup artist or whatever, we really care.
Yeah.
Like we care so much about the product.
Yeah.
It has to perform.
Yeah.
You know, I have to use this.
Yeah.
I want to use it on myself and on my clients and everywhere else. So it's a really important message for all of those, you know, people listening in. Founders care.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your audience. Who do you think your audience is?
It's actually a really hard question. Well, you'd be surprised at how many grandmothers bought the penis lipstick.
Stop!
That was a real...
Oh my God, I love to
you
hear
just never know where they're going to go.
Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I think I've kind of captured different audiences. I've
Yeah.
still got like the Day's Beauty audience that have been so incredibly loyal and faithful. And I think now we're actually looking at new audiences that are really interested in, you know, the skincare hybrid makeup.
Yeah.
And I actually don't know. I think because I have an artistry background, there's also an audience that's just curious about, you know, the brand. And what would you say?
Yeah, no, I think like you said, like I think you have like a good mix of, you know, both beauty lovers, people who see beauty as art, and then you have this new generation of people that really want the skincare infused in their makeup.
Yeah.
And then obviously people who like really admire like the packaging. I think like packaging is really important and it's just so beautiful. I mean, like
Thank
who don't
you.
want this on their vanity?
Thank you.
But I love to hear that grandmas are buying the penis lipstick.
Yeah.
Because that will be me and Kirby when we are old. Okay, what product is your best selling?
Well, funnily enough, this is the microbial gel has been massive.
Okay.
We kind of just didn't realize it was going to take off in the way it did. I'm so happy about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a multifunctional primer. It has ingredients that feed your skin's good bacteria. So when I've worked, again, it goes back to this whole thing of like working with thousands of faces that are like, oh, do you have to put makeup on me? Because actually it makes you break out. And, you know, backstage it shows there's people sharing brushes and there's all sorts going on. Chaos. And, you know, the skin's good bacteria is the gateway to health, you know, healthy skin, good complexion. So that feeds it. And I'm actually going to reformulate it to be even more potent.
Okay.
And I wanted to create a primer that's like your shield. So that especially, you know, for anyone or makeup artists or anyone, that you can wear it and feel really good. It's like your first. I've literally started wearing it at night too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this was going to happen. But I've started wearing the lip serum, the face glaze on my eyes, and then the microbial gel at night.
You
and
just
I
look
wake
so
up
gorgeous. Going to sleep.
like, where's my Prince Charming? Maybe I do want like a robber to come in the night and, you know, sing
I'm sure
me.
your cats think you look fabulous.
Yeah.
What product do you think should be a bestseller that isn't? Or just that, you know, people are sleeping on?
Well, they're all doing really well, which is lovely.
They're all doing well.
However,
Or do you have a favorite?
Well, the product I think that could have even more airtime is the metal lips.
Okay.
These guys here.
Just so pretty.
Yeah, I developed them because I love lip balm and I love lip product and it's a real hero. Like the categories, you know, has always been quite big at the brand. But I was like, how can we like push a really easy everyday like lip product and make it just feel a bit, you know, cool. And so metallic lips, I was like, yeah, that's so modern. Like just, I think the thing I love, and as I like get older, is I love like really beautiful, elevated skin with like a twist. You know, like whether that's like the Lashify collab, which was the edge lash, or it's the face glaze glossy eye, or it's this metal lip. I just think that's so modern. Yeah. So I love the metal lip. Do you want to have a look? Have you
Yes,
tried
I
any of
have.
them?
I have them at home, and
Okay.
it just looks so pretty, like alone or
I'll
as a
put this one.
topper. Yeah, please.
This is
Show us. Which one is that?
Chalice.
Okay.
Um,
You have like the most beautiful lips, by the way.
oh, thank you.
Gorge.
Thank you. And it's a balm. It's a balm. I don't think you can see it over there, but it's
super comfortable on the
beautiful
lip.
shimmering
really
balm.
hydrating. Yeah.
So
Oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so you are in Sephora,
yes.
which is so exciting.
Yes.
As we've learned from many founders we've interviewed, it can also be really scary or intimidating. You know,
yeah.
it's a lot of pressure. Did you feel like you had to change the brand at all before you entered Sephora?
They've been such an amazing partner. And we talked, you know, like, it's like getting into bed with anyone, isn't it? You both want to have a good time. And I came to them, you know, when they said they were interested in the new line, it was really important for me to make sure that I was giving them what they want and what their customer wants too. And actually, they just really love the product. And I think they said it feels like it's, hitting that white space, that kind of modern, skincare infused, interesting, like with the color correcting serum, kind of a new approach. Anyway, so they've been great, and we have regular feedback, and things that they say we could improve, or the package, packaging or whatever. Yeah, they've been a great partner. So I kept them a little bit in mind, but I kept them present during the development process, and we would send them samples, and I would say, what do you think? I'm doing these skin duos, and it was all really positive. So I feel awesome about it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is there something that people might not realize about partnering with a big retailer like Sephora?
I think there's you definitely have to level up in terms of suddenly there's a lot more demand just on the team.
Yeah.
You got to produce more product. They need assets. There are certain just all over demands because you also have to fit into their world.
Yeah.
And that's a really big world.
Totally.
So I think not in terms of changing the makeup, but it's just more the way that we have to, I suppose, give back in the way that they're supporting us. We need to do our bit too and give them assets and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Got it. Just thinking about this question and then going back to you were asking me what I think or who I think your audience is. I feel like the cool beauty lover, like the cool girl, is shopping Isamaya.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Like if I'm thinking about the brand at Sephora and like different consumers coming in, like I just feel like how could you not feel cool carrying that lipstick and putting it on? And I also feel like even though your products are helping to like enhance like what's already there, like it really does make you feel kind of badass. Like you're like kind of confident. Yeah.
I love to hear that.
Right?
I love to hear that.
I feel like that's the vibe that I get when I use your product.
Thank you so much. Well, I tried to put a bit of editorial into it, but I think the other thing is just having it, just looking at beauty in a new way. I mean, yeah, we've still got lipsticks and stuff, but to, like the eyeglass or, the metal lip, or we've just launched, I should have brought them, palettes. Eyeshadow palettes. So we had such a demand for eyeshadow palettes from my previous collections, and we have listened. And I'm sorry it's taken so long, but we now have them, and they're beautiful, super colorful palettes.
Ooh,
so
oh my gosh, I can't wait.
I will send you them as soon as they're available.
When are they launching?
So I think we're doing a pre-launch, and then they'll be available in August.
Okay.
So just a couple more months.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We will be waiting. I'm curious if this was brought up at all when you were at the Business of Fashion event, or if it's something that you've thought about. Speaking of like being so overwhelmed with like all the decisions and, feedback, this and that, have you or your team like thought about like integrating AI or tapping into that while you still can be creative and artistic?
Well, we've talked about it, and I did an Instagram live recently because I said to the team, right, we've got to do swatches. And swatches are boring and they can be quite expensive, and it's very time consuming. but they're a really important tool for the consumer to navigate color and stuff, right? So you need to do, arm swatches. I'm talking about, on the website.
Yeah.
And they just bought, it's always the same format. And I was like, why do we do it with AI?
Yeah.
Because all it is a tool, really. Yeah. It's not like it's a model's face or anything. It's just like an arm and a skin tone and whatever. Right. And quite rightly, my team questioned it and they were like, hang on. A lot of people really don't like AI and they don't like the fact that creatives are using it, and it's taking away jobs. And I think we should just err on the side. Let's just talk about it a bit longer. Yeah. I was like, I want to do AI. It sounds really fun. I want to make a creative SWOT, Yeah. They're like, just calm down, Isamaya. They're really good at telling me to, And I went on Instagram Live that night because I wanted to know what people thought. And we'd had an AI creative agency pitch on these swatches and the images were so cool. Yeah. I was like, it was awesome. Yeah. So I asked my community and actually people were kind of in the middle. There was a bit of a like, well, it depends how you do it. And, maybe you could do like, a couple of real arms so that people aren't losing out on jobs and then just, replicate that, use AI to fill in the gaps.
I see. They
were kind of like not here, not there. Yeah. I was like, well, then kind of what's the point?
Right.
But then somebody came on the live and she said, it's the human cost, the cost on sort of the earth, the amount of water that's used. There are all of these other considerations. Forget the artistry bit.
Right. Yeah.
What's the earth cost? What's the human cost? Think about that.
Yeah.
And so that's when I said, okay, until I feel secure that the things I'm doing, I can sleep at night.
Yes. Yes.
Let's wait and let's hold off. And there are ways of doing it. There are companies that that don't drain huge resources and don't have kind of AI sweatshops or whatever. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think it's a powerful creative tool. I think it's amazing. Yeah. It's so, if you are a creative, it's wonderful to have something help you express your creative vision in a really extraordinary way that you couldn't have done. Yeah. So it's a hard one. Yeah. Because I celebrate it, but I understand there are also
I'm right with you.
Arguments.
Yeah. I think it's like either way, it's the future, whether or not we participate or not. So trying to figure out the best way to use it to support us in the best capabilities.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. So, but I'm totally with you. I think about all the water that's being used when I'm like chat GPTing a stupid question.
I know. But then I'm like, but what about a Google search engine?
Right.
And then what about like how much water it costs to grow soybeans or whatever.
Totally.
It's hard to know.
The photos and the content that we're saving in this cloud and like the power that it's, using. It's,
totally. Because if you want to get into the nitty gritty, you should probably be like a goat farmer in Mongolia and just go off grid.
Right.
Pick your battles.
100%.
And try and remain informed.
Yes, exactly. I think that's the most important thing. Okay, I'm going to ask you this question that Kirby wrote. I don't know what this book is about, so I'm asking this question for Kirby. You recently posted about the book, The Matter with Things.
Yeah.
I need to know what the book is about because I don't know. How's this affected your work professionally?
Thanks, Kirby. Glad you're watching. And I'm so happy to talk about this book. Well, fundamentally, the book is about the nature of reality and how our brains operate. We have two different hemispheres, the left and the right, and they operate in different ways and they have a different perspective on the world. And it's fundamentally just about how our consciousness and our sense of reality is shaped in relation to our brains. And it's really interesting. The author is called Ian McGilchrist. He wrote a book before that called The Master and His Emissary. And it's a similar themes. And basically, when we were evolving, we, take a bird, for example, it had to be able to focus on, say, breaking open a nut or, eating a worm. It had to focus on being able to do a task, but it also had to have a sense of awareness that a predator wasn't going to come along. So you've got two different modes of operating. You've got the kind of focused attention structure, which actually is also the language center of the brain in the left hemisphere. And then you have the right hemisphere, which is really about it's where our intuition comes from. It's where creativity stems from. The right hemisphere can speak in metaphor. It's our kind of, it's everything to do with our relationship for ourselves and other things. It's we could be here for hours, so I'll keep it brief.
Yeah.
But what's been really interesting with the book, the more you learn about the way the two hemispheres operate and how they create your perception of things, the more you can kind of play with it and understand, like, okay, is this my left brain clicking into gear now? Because really the right brain should be driving.
Yeah.
And the left brain should be taking notes.
Yeah.
And the left brain should be categorizing and stuff. But the right brain should be what you're driving with. And often what happens is we switch into the left brain and the kind of problem solving, logical, whatever comes in. And that's actually can be very dangerous and very limiting.
Yeah.
And for creatives especially, you know, being in your right brain is so important. So I love the book because not only does it help me on a creative level, but also it just explores really interesting schools of philosophy about reality.
Yeah.
Because we shape our own reality.
Yeah.
I'm sure you probably know Joe Dispenza. He's like, he talks about like quantum meditation, and you'll probably look at me like, where are you going with this?
Let's go.
Let's go back to birth.
No.
But just, it just reinforces that thing of like where you place your attention and your energy is so important.
Yeah.
So be careful with it.
Yeah.
Because what you focus your attention on will bring to life, whether that's negativity, whether that's your trauma, whether that's self-doubt, just really interesting. So I'll let you read it.
I had a therapy session just
Oh,
now with
no,
you.
sorry,
No, I
shut
love
me
that in the
up.
best way possible. Okay, I have one more final question before I let you go.
Yeah.
You've worked on so many iconic looks, on so many like iconic faces.
Oh,
is there one that's like stands out or is like a favorite or one that's really means a lot to you?
Well, I mean, instantly my brain goes back to Rihanna.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's because so many people talk about it.
Yeah.
When we did the skinny eyebrow, or when we did the truth across her face, or I did something that has been popping up recently was when she did the Star Trek video and we painted like ancient rune symbols down her face and shaved off her eyebrows. And we had some really creative moments together.
What is it like working with her in that way? Is she just game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's like,
she knows what she wants, though.
Right. Okay.
She knows what she wants, which is great.
Yeah.
And she's really down to try stuff. And I think she just likes to embody, the character. That's what it felt like when I was working with her. And then who else I'm just so lucky. I've worked with awesome faces. I've worked with Cher, I've worked with Madonna, like two incredible
icons.
They're my
Legends,
icons.
Yeah.
And I love that too. And again, they like teach me a lot about makeup. I mean, Cher, for example, was like best friends with Kevin Aucoin.
Yeah.
So she had all these incredible stories about working with him. And I just, she teaches me stuff and it's awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I'm really lucky.
Oh my
really
God.
lucky.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is there someone that you haven't worked on that you would love to?
Well, that could be a part 2.
Okay. We'll leave you hanging.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Isamaya.
thank
We're
you
such
for
big
having
fans
me.
of you.
Thank you so
And,
much.
Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you.
Cannot wait for those palettes.
Thank you so
Where
much.
can our listeners buy Isamaya? Where can they find you?
Well, you can find us on Isamaya.com. We hope you love the Isamaya.com website. We love it too. And Sephora, of course, in store. So if you want to go in and try the product, that's the best place to go.
And then where can we find you for your content and your Instagram lives?
My personal Instagram channel is Isamaya Ffrench. And then I often pop up on the beauty channel, Isamaya Beauty.